Hello everyone, this is PKL Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about Batwoman and reflect on the recent news that the show has finally been cancelled after 3 seasons. Now I'm sure we all know the story of Batwoman, but just a quick revision for anybody watching who doesn't know, the CW superhero series debuted way back in 2019, based on the adventures of Kate Kane, who was the cousin of Bruce Wayne, and she took over the mantle of Gotham's protector in his mysterious absence. Now the series had already caused some division and controversy during its marketing, where it was accused of very much baiting outrage with the opening trailers. In particularly, we had the lines of Kate Kane speaking that she didn't want to take credit for a man's work, even though she was assuming all of the gadgets and the Batmobile that was built by Bruce, and also another line where she stated that the suit would look better on a woman. Many people accused the show of trying to stoke up controversy in order to generate high ratings. There was also some outrage over Ruby Rose's casting as Kate Kane, because certain segments of the LGBT community felt that Ruby Rose wasn't gay enough for the role. Now season 1 had met with very mixed to negative reviews, and shortly after that season had come to an end, lead actress Ruby Rose had left the show, citing mistreatment and unsafe working conditions. Now I've done an extensive video surrounding that incident, and I will leave a link in the description, you can check it out at a later date. Now Ruby was replaced by actress Javicia Leslie for seasons 2 and 3, playing a new lead character named Ryan Wilder. The character was a completely new original creation, and we would see that she was an ex-martial arts instructor, as well as spending time in jail sentence for drug possession. Now despite that change, the show continued to experience further decline in ratings ever since season 1 debuted. Now we all know that the shows on the CW aren't always determined by massive ratings, but the more successful shows such as Superman and Lois and The Flash always had consistent ratings, and the network would always reward those shows with very long runs on the air. Even the likes of Supernatural, which got to 15 seasons, and also Legends of Tomorrow, which has lasted 7 seasons so far, and the reasons for this is because the ratings for those shows was at the very least consistent. Now rightly so, some people will point to the reason for this cancellation was because of the potential sale of the CW network, which was established months ago, and the speculation would be that we would see certain shows being reduced or even cancelled, and Batwoman was certainly at the top of that list. There is of course the Discovery takeover of Warner Brothers, which certainly indicates that there will be a further shake-up in terms of the superhero content, both on the movies and the television side as well. Also perhaps the incoming Gotham Knights series or pilot episode was another indication that Batwoman would very much indeed be coming to an end. Now whilst not completely shocked at this news, I am a bit surprised, since at the end of season 3 it did end on a cliffhanger, which is why I felt we would probably get a reduced season 4, maybe 10 episodes. They did something very similar with Arrow, which ended on its 8th season and had 10 episodes as well. I just felt this would be a good way to end the overall story and provide a proper conclusion, and at least giving fans some sort of sense of satisfaction and closure. Now you can check out more extensive reviews of the show for all 3 seasons within the channel, and I will leave some links within the description. But in terms of the overall series, I just felt it was lacking in terms of creativity and imagination, and also action. As with so many other shows centered around the Batman universe, it just riffed off classic Batman villains rather than exploring Batwoman's own mythos, which likely was very limited in scope as well, which is why they kept going back to reusing the Batman villains. There was just never anything distinctive or impressionable about this in terms of world building. Gotham is very much of a regular city, just like anything else, and Batwoman herself never really gave any sense of a truly awesome crime fighter. Most of the villains that we got throughout the show were very uninspired and poorly developed, which will always bring a series down, as I've always felt that the role of the villain always drives the story forward. In terms of the main cast, I did feel that the actors were overall okay and serviceable in their performances. They did have a certain rapport and chemistry, particularly in the 2nd and 3rd seasons. Now Rachel Skarsten as Alice was probably the most entertaining and interesting performance. In the role as Alice, she started off very much as the villain in the 1st season, but as we went through in the 2nd and 3rd season, and we built very much more the connection of her being Kate's sister, and tapping into the backstory of her being captured, of when she was younger, they very much tried to redeem the character in the 2nd and 3rd season. But overall she had the most range to play with and was certainly the most interesting character on the show. Javicia Leslie was also a very strong and charismatic presence, far more reliable than what Ruby Rose was in the lead role. Even though Ryan Wilder came across as unlikable at times, you can't doubt that Javicia Leslie certainly put her all in terms of this overall performance. And the likes of Camrus Johnson, Megan Tandy and Nicole Kang all served their roles very well and again had a very good dynamic within the group of Team Batwoman. Now in terms of the seasons overall, I'd probably say that season 3 was the best. Now that isn't saying much when comparing to the previous two, so if you want to say that the show ended whilst on an improving curve, then fair enough, I can't argue too much with that observation. But when I look at the show overall, I just think Batwoman wasn't an interesting or dynamic character enough to probably merit her own series. Regardless of whether it was Ruby Rose as Kate Kane or Javicia Leslie as Ryan Wilder, there just wasn't enough there in terms of her own universe to really provide a compelling and consistent show to maintain viewers throughout its entire run. Now in terms of the Arrowverse, we do ask questions as to where it will go forward following this cancellation of Batwoman. I have maintained for a while now that post the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, I do feel that the Arrowverse is very much empty on fumes in terms of creativity and spark. Batwoman herself was very much of a bit player in terms of the overall Arrowverse itself. Now she did appear in the Crisis crossover as the Ruby Rose version, but apart from that, we only had a short-term appearance by Javicia Leslie in the recent Armageddon crossover, in where all 5 episodes were only screened on a flash. So I wouldn't say she was really an integral part of this universe overall. That might have changed if we did indeed get 4 or 5 seasons, but sadly that's not to be. So in terms of the overall shows, we'll wait and see. I think they'll probably look at each show on an individual basis. We do know that The Flash has been renewed for a 9th season, Superman and Lois has already been renewed for a season 3, and the 3rd season of Stargirl is due to debut later on this year, and I've said in multiple videos that I believe that both Superman and Lois and Stargirl remain the 2 strongest shows within the CW verse. I'm very unconvinced by Naomi, to be honest with you. I dropped off that show after the 4th episode. So I don't think it's very likely that we will be seeing a 2nd season renewal for that show, but we'll wait and see what happens in the future. But as we go back now just to reflect on Batwoman, I just think it was a very lackluster show with a decent cast, but lacking any real creative energy or spark to make it a truly distinctive entry within the superhero genre. But we reflect on the ending of its run after 3 seasons and 51 episodes coming to an end. The series of Batwoman was finally cancelled. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on the cancellation of Batwoman after 3 seasons. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think it deserved a 4th and final season, maybe a reduced episode count of maybe 10 episodes like we saw with Arrow, or do you think this was the right time for it to be cancelled just by the fact that the ratings were declining too much? And the fact that there wasn't really any further mileage in terms of the storytelling, or do you think there was enough potential there to at least merit a 4th season overall, and at the very least give the fans a satisfactory conclusion that they overall deserved? Let me know what you think in the comments. As I mentioned before, you can check out reviews of all 3 seasons within the show within the channel, as well as other coverage of the CW shows such as The Flash, Superman and Lois, Naomi, and also Stargirl as well. So you can check all of those reviews within the channel as well. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.